the high-level segment of the ECOSOC, including the three-day ministerial segment of the high-level political forum that took place from Monday the 21st to Thursday, July the 24th. The theme that was focused on was advancing sustainable, inclusive science and evidence-based solutions for the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and its SDGs for leaving no one behind. So in the 2025 High-Level Political Forum, they carry out an in-depth review of the following sustainable development goals without prejudice to their integrated, invincible, and interlinked nature. So goals 3, which deals with ensuring healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. Goal 5, achieving gender equality and empower all women and girls. Goal 8, promote sustainable, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Goal 14, conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. And goal 17, strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. So today, we're going to take the time to hear from some of our wonderful, distinguished excellencies here who will give us a little bit of their take, their experience, their knowledge, their ideas, their resources, everything, their contribution when it comes to achieving these goals, being able to identify the problems that is being faced globally, as well as some solutions or areas in which we can assist in getting these forward. Today, I'm sorry to say that the President General for WOLMI, he's unable to be here with us this morning. However, we're going to move right in to our keynote presenter. Hopefully, maybe by the time we're finished or before we wrap up, if he's able, he will join us. If not, I will just do the necessaries on his behalf. But today, again, let me say thank you very much once more to all of you wonderful speakers, as well as to you, Dr. Ada, Her Excellency Professor Adazi. Thank you very much for putting together this forum where your department is able to bring together these wonderful ambassadors in order for us to make such wonderful presentations. We have with us a keynote speaker who is no stranger, and he will be no stranger to us here at WOLMI. So he will be speaking to us on advancing sustainable, inclusive science and evidence-based solutions for the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and its SDG for leaving no one behind. He is Ambassador Dr. Nabil Kapoor. He's the permanent observer mission of the Pan-African Intergovernmental Agency for Water and Sanitation in Africa at the United Nations. His Excellency, please, sir, you have the floor to give us your keynote presentation.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead. We can hear you loud and clear.
Just a second, please. Yes. So first of all, very thank you to everyone who has joined from whichever part of the world, and greetings from the Pan-African Intergovernmental Agency for Water and Sanitation for Africa. So this year's HLPS of the High-Level Political Forum was very significant as it highlighted the most critical issues to the humanity, advancing sustainable, inclusive, and science and evidence-based solutions, which is crucial for achieving the 2030 Agenda for SDGs. The 5 SDGs under the review were SDG number 3, 5, 8, 14, and 17, 17 being the main crucial one, which aims to leave no one behind, ensuring that all individuals and communities have access to the resources and opportunities they need to thrive. The review reflected upon sustainability, inclusivity, science and evidence-based solutions, accelerated progress, improved effectiveness, increased accountability, the ministerial declaration, the voluntary national reviews, and global trends and future impacts. The science and evidence-based solution, which highlighted the categories of water and sanitation, implementing sustainable water management practices, improving access to clean water and sanitation, and promoting water conservation. Number two, renewable energy, investing in renewable energy resources such as solar and wind power to reduce dependence on fossil fuels and mitigate climate change. The same thing was addressed by His Excellency Antonio Guterres also in his recent interview. Third, the digital technologies, leveraging digital technologies such as mobile phones and data analytics to improve access to healthcare, education, and financial services. By advancing sustainable, inclusive science and evidence-based solutions, we can make progress towards achieving the SDG and leaving no one behind. Now, what have been the outcomes of all these discussions we have had at HLPF? The HLPF conducted in-depth reviews of 6 sustainable development goals, as I had mentioned, 3, 5, 8, 14, and 17. There was a high-level ministerial declaration, which was from 21st to 23rd. The forum adopted ministerial declaration, which will serve as a guide for future actions to achieve SDGs. The ministerial declaration adopted by the high-level political forum on sustainable development served as a guide for future actions to achieve SDG. The first key lesson, which was a takeaway from that ministerial declaration, which we all attended, was urgency and commitment. The declaration emphasizes that time is running out to achieve the SDGs with only 18% of the goals on the track to be met by 2030. Member states reaffirmed their commitment to multilateralism and the UN's role in leading actions for a stronger and effective multilateral system. Number two, addressing global challenges. The declaration highlights poverty and the worsening climate crisis as a global challenge that threatens sustainable development. Number three, importance of peace and security. The declaration stressed that sustainable development cannot be achieved without peace and security and vice versa. Strong governance and partnerships are essential for realizing peace and as a prerequisite for development. Next, financing for development, one of the major categories. The declaration emphasized that the new need for new additional quality, adequate, sustainable, and predictable financing to achieve the SDGs. It called for the full implementation of the Addis Ababa Action Agenda and increased investment in the areas like infrastructure, innovation, and technology. Global partnerships. The declaration highlighted the importance of partnerships internationally and multilateral cooperation in achieving the SDGs, and the support for developing countries. The declaration stressed the need to support developing countries, particularly those in these special situations, such as small island developing states, least developed countries, and landlocked developed countries in their efforts to achieve SDGs. Overall, the ministerial declaration provided a framework for future actions to achieve SDGs, emphasizing the need for collective action, international cooperation, and sustainable financing to address global challenges and support developing countries. The voluntary national reviews, which took place during the high-level ministerial segment, 46 countries presented their voluntary national reviews of the 2030 agenda implementation at the national level. Robust governance mechanisms, interlinkages between the SDGs, integration into budgetary processes, multi-stakeholder agreements, human rights, lessons from the national reviews, and country-led and country-driven national reviews. The voluntary national reviews are most effective when they are country-led and country-driven, allowing nations to tailor their approaches to the unique context and priorities. Now, some of the best practices which have emerged from the VNRs, they included the inclusive reporting, stakeholder engagement, capacity building, and overall, the VNRs provided a valuable platform for countries to share experiences, lessons learned, and best practices in implementing the 2030 agenda and achieving the sustainable development goals. Now, what were the global trends, what we discussed at the high-level political forum during this 10 days initiatives? The global trends and future impacts. The high-level political forum discussed the global trends and future impacts, focusing on the long-term effects of current trends on achieving the SDGs. The key aspects of the discussions included, number one, globalization and international cooperation. The HLPF explored the impact of globalization and international cooperation on sustainable development, considering the transforming world and its implementations for the SDGs. The role of ECOSOC. The Economic and Social Council plays a crucial role in leading action for a stronger and more effective multilateral system, particularly in the context of the UN 80th anniversary. Long-term impacts. The forum considered the potential long-term impacts of current trends on advancing sustainable development, including the effects of multiple crises on eradicating poverty and achieving the SDGs. Future trend scenarios. The HLPF conducting the high-level policy dialogue on future trends and scenarios related to the council theme, examining the long-term impacts of current trends on the realization of SDGs. Sustainable development. The discussion emphasized the importance of sustainable development, resilience, innovation solutions in achieving the SDGs and eradicating poverty. And the last and a very important one was effective multilateralism. The HLPF highlighted the need for effective multilateralism and the international cooperation to address the global challenges and achieve the SDGs. The lessons for the 2025 High-Level Political Forum on the advancing sustainable, inclusive, science and evidence-based solution is crucial for achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Sustainable Development Goals, provided valuable takeaways, including importance of inclusive approaches, multi-stakeholder engagement, science and evidence-based solutions, global partnerships, and financing. As we continue to advance SDGs towards 2030 agenda, let's understand the significant need to accelerate the progress, strengthening of partnerships within the institutions and even outside the institutions, supporting developing countries, and continuous review and evaluation of SDGs from local to national level and to international level. In my personal point of view, I suggest time is now to bring all stakeholders together in strong empowerment and solidarity to come to terms with our years of SDGs review and pull together all outcomes and reviews to consolidate our global vision for a sustainable world. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Excellency Dr. Kapoor, the Permanent Observer Mission of the Pan-African Intergovernment Agency for Water and Sanitation in Africa, the United Nations, you, the Permanent Observer. Thank you very much for such a wonderful presentation and for reminding us and at the same time educating those of us who don't know of the functions, the roles of ECOSOC, and as well as the current stance where we are when it comes to dealing with water and sanitation, as well as the current team at hand. Thank you very much to you, sir, once again. Ladies and gentlemen, coming now to give us the vehicle of delivery for the 2025 High-Level Political Forum, our keynote review. Prince Ambassador Dr. Osita, the president for the Sub-Sahara Open University, Abuja, Nigeria. His Excellency Dr. Osita, the floor is yours. So for our keynote vehicle of delivery review.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I share, please?
You have it.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Ambassador. Okay, can we see this?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, this is a very quick one. We'll take just a couple of minutes. I am doing the review all the 5 SDGs that have been talked about today. So we are dealing with our interconnected imperative, the 5 SDGs that define the future that we want. And my name is Usita. What is the interconnectedness? How are we connected? SDG 3, good health and well-being. SDG 5, gender equality. SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. SDG 14, life below water, the ocean economy. And then SDG 17, partnership for all the goals. So the opening frame defines quite very serious issues. 3, 5, 8, 14, and 17. The human foundation, innovation driver, economic engine, planetary lifeline, and the multiplier force. So because we need a human foundation as the innovation driver for economic engine, our planetary lifeline would have partnerships, which has been defined as the multiplier choice. Together, these have become our collective survival strategy. So let's start with the first one, SDG 3, health. This has faced a fragile recovery, and progress has just been life expectancy restored globally, 92% essential services recovered, and routine immunization at 85%. But what are the challenges? Two very, double-barreled challenges. That 3.7 billion people all over the world lack essential services. AMR affects 5 million annually, but the hope is that the systems will not be, vulnerable, because for now it is still very vulnerable. So let's look at them in detail. The current status from 2024 is saying that global health indicators, progress have been made. Pandemic recovery and health systems are being strengthened, and their universal health coverage has been advanced. So the achievements, vaccination and disease prevention successes, maternal and child care improvements, mental health awareness and support initiatives. But the challenges remain health inequities and access gap, healthcare workforce shortages, and then climate health nexus impacts. Our climate is still a challenge. 5, gender. Momentum meets resistance. What's the progress? Girls' education is up by 15%, 45 countries with national policies already, and then women's political participation is rising, particularly around Africa. Then the challenge says that gender-based violence is still persists, and there is also the voluminous pay gap between the genders. And then the insight says that backlash politics is threatening these gains, because for most countries, particularly too from where I come, politics has not been clearly defined as for the people. So what are the details? From current status for 2024, women's political participation in leadership has risen. Economic empowerment indicators show that things are beginning to turn out well. And then legal frameworks and policy implementation are threatening the gains. The achievements is that gender-responsive budgeting adoption has happened. Violence against women protection programs have been instituted. And then girls' education, the girl child has been focused on, and there is advancement in their education. But the challenges remain that gender-based violence, are persisting. The pay gap is there, and the intersectional discrimination issues still persist. 8, work, transformation amidst instability. This has been quite hard all over the world. Green jobs are up, by progress report by 22%. Youth entrepreneurship in 127 countries are blossoming, and their social protection has been expanded. People have been considered in most policies have been made. But the challenge remains that 206 million people are unemployed globally, and this defines the current youth bulge phenomenon. 60% informal economy in developing nations, and then massive reskilling is required. That's the way to step forward on this. So We're talking about employment recovery from post-pandemic. We're talking about youth unemployment trends, informal economic formalization process. And then if you look at all of this and look at the challenges, you see that decent work deficits is emerging in developing countries, and skills mismatch and future of work. Most people who are qualified now might not find work tomorrow. Labor rights and worker protections are needed. Let's look at life underwater, ocean. There's hope in conservation. 30% marine areas have been protected. Blue economy investments have gone up by 35%. And then plastic pollution have been reduced to 18% from a whopping 31% 2 years ago. Now, the challenge is that ocean warming is accelerating, and this is destroying the entire life underwater. 35% fish stocks have been overexploited. But the insight says that if we inject a good climate health campaign, ocean health will become better. So we're talking about ocean health and marine biodiversity indicators showing that sustainable fisheries management, fisheries management is in progress, and then marine pollution reduction, has happened. Plastics have been disappearing gradually. And then the challenges say that ocean acidification and warming is rising. Plastic pollution and microplastics are still there. Overfishing and ecosystem degradation, they are twins in destruction of the economies of the developing countries. Now, partnerships. This, like the first speaker said, is the ombudsman for all the SDGs. Quantity versus quality. 200,000 plus multi-stakeholder partnerships have happened. $50 billion innovative financing has been mobilized, and then South-South cooperation is being expanded. But what are the challenges? Coordination gaps still persist. Technology access disparities still persist. So the point we're making is that we should have trust deficit mitigation, because it's undermining collaboration. So in detail, multi-stakeholder partnership effectiveness, yes, is happening. Financing for development progress is there. Technology transfer and capacity building is rising. But aid effectiveness and coordination gaps still exist. Technology access disparities still exist, and data sharing and monitoring becomes a huge challenge. So what can we do? Synergy metrics. When we connect the SDGs, professionally and intellectually, we'll find that health and gender can actually give us economics growth at 3%. When we combine life underwater, ocean economy, and work, we will create 40 million jobs. Partnership and the rest, the remaining 4 will give us implementation speed doubled. And then climate, which is the current currency, and all 5 becomes an integrated response to all the challenges. Now, what are our immediate priorities? Action now, fast track to 2030, the end of the decade of action. Global Health Security Fund must rise to 20 billion emergency preparedness. Gender responsive budgeting must happen, and this should be by all UN member states. Ocean Climate Health Coalition should happen. That will include integrated monitoring, and digital partnership platforms must be established for real-time coordination. Now, what are we looking for between 2027 and 2030 as our medium-term vision? Our success metrics are showing that we are looking towards 50% reduction in health access gaps, 25% improvement in gender equality indices, 30% increase in decent work opportunities, 20% reduction in marine pollution, and of course, 40% improvement in partnership effectiveness. Now, how do we measure what matters? Let's look at the SDGs. Health. We have to achieve universal coverage indices. Gender. We have to get as far as the zero pay gap in public sector. Work. $3 trillion sustainable ocean economy is possible. Oceans, science-based management. This is what WSA is preaching. There must be scientific approach, and science indices for oceans. Then partnership will have to increase the trust-building framework. Now, in closing, the choice is now ours. We'll have the knowledge, we'll have the resources, and we'll have the moral imperative. The question isn't whether we can achieve these goals. It is whether we will choose to. So let 2025 be remembered as the year we turned commitment into catalytic action. References, information, thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency, Ambassador Dr. Osita, the President for the Sub-Sahara Open University, Abuja, Nigeria. Thank you very much for that wonderful review to all of us. So for those of you that you're not 100% familiar with each of the SDG that we're focusing on here, there you have a wonderful review as to what it is and what it entails. And I love the way in which you begin it, Excellency, by bringing it all together and showing how they all interconnect and how they all work together. I know SDG 17 deals with partnerships, but that is what you call a partnership, the way in which they all work together. So, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you joining us here late, let me say once again, welcome to you to this high-level 2025 high-level political forum side event hosted by the WOLMI ICC Department of Global Affairs, UN and Global Affairs. Sorry. So thank you very much once again, also to our director, Her Excellency Dr. Ada Z. Okika, who is over this department. Thank you very much. The Northeastern Affairs Department. My mistake. Sorry. Thank you very much, Excellency, for putting this together and bringing all of these wonderful, distinguished ambassadors here together. So here now, we're going to be hearing from a number of the organization's representatives. And they will be focusing on three questions primarily we're going to be addressing. Question one is advancing statement. Advancing sustainable inclusions, innovative economy, economic transformation, governance, people-centered, social cohesion, environmental sustainability and resilience. We're going to be looking at science, and evidence-based solutions for the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and then sustainable development goals for leaving no one behind. Three focus areas we were able to break this down into, and we're going to be hearing from a few of the individuals, ambassadors within the organizations. So coming to speak to us in SDG 3, ensuring healthy lives and promote well-being for all ages. Health is a fundamental human right and a core aspiration for every individual. Despite significant scientific and technological advancements, none of the SDG 3 targets have been achieved, and current trends indicate that none are on track. Alarmingly, over half of the world's population lack access to essential health services. And since the COVID-19 pandemic, governments have deprioritized health spending between 2021 and 2022. So health is not solely created within the health sector. It is shaped by how people live, eat, work, and learn. The social, economic, environmental, commercial, and other determinants of health underscores the necessity of integrated whole of society approaches to policy making to create and sustain health and well-being. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the delicate relationships between people and our planet. Yet, negotiations for the WHO pandemic treaty aimed at enhancing global cooperation and preparedness for future pandemics remain unfinished. Numerous challenges and megatrends, including climate change, biodiversity loss, air pollution, urbanization, demographic shifts, and aging populations, pose new questions and issues that must be addressed to make progress on SDG 3. So rising conflict, displacements, humanitarian emergencies, and natural hazards exacerbate the divide between the well-off and those suffering the most severe health consequences. So this review will explore challenges and opportunities in advancing key solutions to accelerate progress towards SDG 3. So coming to speak to us now on this SDG 3 is Her Excellency Dr. Mrs. Blessings. Please forgive me if I mispronounce your name. I will try my best not to butcher it. Irabor Oza, the President, Organization of Women in International Trade, OWIT Nigeria, and the also Vice President for Programs, OWIT International. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Dr. Blessings. Dr. Blessings, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. The name is Blessing Irabo Oza. Thank you so much for having me on this floor.
Thank you very much. We're welcome to have you.
One minute, let me go to slide. Excellencies, distinguished delegate, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is a profound honor and privilege to join you today at the 2025 United Nations High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Developments, converged under the auspices of the Economic and Social Council. I am deeply grateful to be part of this vital dialogue as we collectively assess our progress, chart the path forward for the achievement of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, ensuring no one is left behind. I went to briefly explain what the SDG is all about. I said SDG promote healthy living. Sorry, 1 minute, because this is a little, okay. SDG 3 aims to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. This goal has reflected the international community commitment to universal health coverage, tackling communicable and non-communicable diseases, reaching maternal and child mortality, ensuring access to essential health services, medicine, and vaccine. I wanted to give a brief background and importance. It was adopted in September 2015 as part of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, SDG 3. It embodies a promise to protect life and promote well-being for everyone. It is central to human dignity and unpeel all other development goals. Hence is a cornerstone for development, productivity, and peaceful society. However, like the reviewer has spoken, Ambassador Prince Osita said, and the last, the one that introduced me, It said, however, we are not on track, which is true. And we only have 5 years remaining for this SDG goals, because it's by 2030. The World Health Organization too has reported progress that it has stagnated or even retrogressed due to the COVID-19, the conflicts, the economic instability, and weak health system. As of 2024, over 290 women still die annually for preventable pregnancy and childbirth complication. And this happened mostly in low-income countries. 2.5 million new babies die each year as well. Many were the same within the first week of life. Non-communicable diseases, NCDs such as cancer, diabetes, and heart attack still account for over 74% of all global deaths. Cancer still, the world is still going around. We not have a real drug that we can say this is the drugs, it cures cancer and it cures it permanently. And in all this, the region where I come from, still bears 25% of the global diseases burden, but has only 3% of the world health workforce, which is really alarming and is a thing of concern. I went further to see how to, I listed all the 13 targets of the SDG, which is 3.1 talks about the to reduce global maternal mortality to less than 70% per 100,000 live births. I hope before 2030, we're able to achieve like 50%, but we're still not achieving that as it stands today. 3.2 talks about end to preventable deaths of newborns and child under 5, which is age 5. 3.3 talks about how to end the epidemics of AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, and neglected tropical diseases, and combat hepatitis, waterborne diseases, and all other communicable disease. 3.4 goes to reduce 1/3 premature mortality from non-communicable diseases and promotes mental and well-being. 3.5, strengthen the prevention and treatment of substance abuse, which is on the rise amongst our youths today. Include drug use and harmful use of alcohol. 3.6 looks at how to have the number of global death and injury from road accidents, which, you know, the number of road accidents each year is high. So this target is looking at how to have that number. 3.7, which looks at how to ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health care services, including family planning. 3.8, achieve universal health coverage, including financial risks, protection, and access to quality healthcare services and essential medicine. 3.9 looked at reduced death and illness from hazardous chemical, which you get from pollution and environmental contamination. 3A, strengthen implementation of the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. 3B, to support research and development of vaccines and medicine for communicable and non-communicable diseases, which I will expand in my slide very soon. To increase health financing and recruitment, development, training, and retention of health workforce. 3D looks at strengthening capacity for early warning. Just the way climate change, we've been talking about the early signs, we need to look at it when it comes to medical, to look at the early signs warning, the risk reduction. It will reduce our risks, which is the risk reduction and management of health care risk. What are the challenges and setbacks I have? The COVID-19 pandemic has seriously disrupted healthcare services, even immunizations and routine care. And the ongoing conflicts and climate disaster has worsened healthcare vulnerabilities. The global healthcare inequality remains high, especially in the low-income and conflict-affected countries around the globe. Limited investment in primary healthcare is a big one. Mental health. Yes, for advanced nation, mental health has grown. But when you talk about it in the underdeveloped worlds, which are developing nation, we've not really look at the mental health issue. Is a huge challenge and is a big one that we all must attend to if SDG 3 must work. Local pharmaceutical research and development. Local pharmacists have they are not able to research because the fundings are not there. So this has slowed down the process in developing countries. The science and evidence base and power of inclusion, because you cannot talk about science or evidence base without looking at inclusion. SDG 3 requires more than just intention. It requires rigorous science and real-time data. Yes, we have data, but we are not, if you go to the rural areas, you will know you really don't have enough data to provide the kind of support you would have wanted to support. That is why most programs that are created, they are created on papers. It is not created with the people. And this is really an issue. If we need to have the science and real-time data, we need to create this with the people. Inclusive research, unfortunately, global innovation and evidence science and evidence-based policy making, they often exclude, like I said, the common community most in need. The global challenges, the innovation don't reach poor or rural areas. Policy making often lack localized and real-time data. There are villages that you can go to and you will see why you are, how do I put it? Medical services are really not in this area. So if we need to work, we need to have this real-time data and we need to go down so that we are able to have the evidence base that we are really talking about that will support this SDG. One behind, it means you have to really go deep and look at those that are really affected to have a real-time data. Community requires study, but community are often studies, like I said, they don't have real-time engagement. So if they have real-time engagement, they are able to support the solution for inclusive science, to build health solution with local input, cultural knowledge, grassroots. What we fail to understand, the local knowledge, local input is very important. The cultural knowledge, the way our forefathers were able to cure their health, we need to start imputing those local knowledge when we are conducting our science-based. The grassroots, we need the grassroots participation. Evidence-based action, use data-driven planning and equitable resources allocation to reach the unserved. COVID-19 vaccine reached wealthy people, wealthy countries first, and 49 countries had none when others has passed 60% coverage, which for me is not something we should be proud of or we should be talking about at this time after 10 years of the SDG 3 has been in place. We must use science to serve humanity, not system. Local knowledge count. Evidence is also cultural. The science-centered approach ensures health response are not only effective, but also equitable and trusted by the population which they serve. How SDG 3 links to other one. SDG 1, which talks about no poverty. You will agree with me that health expenses push millions into extreme poverty, especially in the developing countries where you don't have health insurance that supports the citizen. That SDG 3 links to this, and you cannot solve the SDG 1 without first trying to solve the SDG 3. The SDG 2, which talked about zero hunger, still, like I say, you can still not solve this because you look at malnutrition, which will weaken the immune system and increase child mortality. For you to solve the zero hunger, you have to look at ways to support the SDG 3 to be more effective. SDG 5 talks about gender equality. Maternal health care, sex rights, and unpaid caregiving body affect women. I work with women. I've been working with women for over 2 decades, and I can talk more on this, but I only have 8 minutes, so that's why I'm putting it all as a bullet point. SDG 6, which looked at clean water and sanitation, which is the basic foundation for health, particularly to prevent communicable diseases. Without proper work to the SDG 3, this will still not be able to achieve what it ought to achieve. Why the SDG 13, which is climate action, talk about the earth, the air pollution, the climate that has worsened respiratory diseases and malnutrition, is even affecting women's health as we speak now. All this have for it to work, we need to really have SDG 3 to really work. What will be the stakeholders' role? Government must ensure strong health policies, financing, and infrastructure. The private sector will contribute innovation, data system, and supply chain support. Youth and women group, they will play key roles in advocacy, in health education and outreach. We've been doing that with when you see women supporting the immunization and malaria outreach. Women and youth has played a very huge role. So is the civil society and traditional leaders. They are essential for community-based implementation. The international development partner must scale financing. They must support universal access and promote technology transfer for our local pharmaceutical industry to be able to scale up too. And a lot of research could be done by them, not waiting for the international bodies alone. My recommendation today to the ministerial declaration and to this body for my review will be to elevate workforce investment, urge member states to invest in training, set aside, for me, I will tell you, they need to set aside a percentage of the budgets to invest in training, employment, and decent working conditions for health workers, especially in unserved, rural, and conflict-affected regions. They have to health equity and inclusion. We have to address disparity in access, especially for women, girls, and persons living with disability and indigenous community. We have to accelerate progress on NCDC and mental health, encourage national action plan, destigmatization, integration of mental health services into our primary health care is very important. We need to promote local research and development and technology transfer. This will strengthen local pharmaceutical industry and reduce dependency on foreign supply chain. We need to strengthen health emergency. We need to be prepared before they come. Build resilience system that can respond to future pandemic, climate shock, and humanitarian access, because the COVID-19 took us by shock, and during that period, we had to look at when we start building. We don't wait for things to happen before we start to put system in place. Protect and empower health advocates, encourage safe space and support for health workers, including women leaders and youth champions. Call to action. Success of SDG 3 is not just a technical matter. It is a moral and political imperative. Health is a human right. Without health, there is no education, no productivity. Peace is far from it, or prosperity. We stand at a critical moment. This is a time to reignite momentum, foster global solidarity, and deliver science-based inclusion and localized solution. The 2030 agenda demands nothing less. Let this high-level political forum send a clear message. Health for all is possible, but only if we act together now and decisively. Keeping the promise of SDG 3. The review of SDG Sustainable Development Goal 3 is not an evaluation of numbers. It is a reflection of the value we place on human life, the dignity and the equity. Our collective progress is hindered not by lack of knowledge, because there is so much knowledge out there, but we have to work together, but by insufficient commitment to scale what works and to reform what is not working. The 2025 HLPF team calls us to advance sustainable, inclusive, science-based and evidence-based solution. SDG 3 must now become the lens through which we view every policy. Health in all policy, whether in agri, whether in trade, whether in anything you are looking at, we should view the lens through the SDG 3, equity in all investments and dignity in all intervention. Let this review be a rallying call to increase domestic and international health financing, to strengthen universal health coverage and mental health services, to bridge urban regional health gaps, to ensure every person's, regardless of age, their background or geography, has access to timely, affordable, and quality health care. Let us not fail this promise. Let us reimagine a future where no one is left behind. My closing statement: let's remain committed to achieve SDG 3, ensuring health and well-being for all and at all ages. A healthy population is not just a goal, it is the very foundation upon which every other goal must stand. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Blessings, the president for the Organization of Women in International Trade, Nigeria. Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation on the SDG 3 and for sharing your expertise as well as your personal experience within your organization and within the Nigerians as well as the world at large when it comes to the access to proper health care in today's society. So, ladies and gentlemen, moving on, we have now coming to speak to us on SDG 5, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. So with just 5 years remaining until the 2030 deadline for achieving the SDG, gender equality and empowerment of women and girls remains off track. So the last review of SDG 5 at the High Level Political Forum in 2022 highlighted immense burdens women faced during the COVID-19 pandemic, including job losses, increased gender-based violence, and disruption to health services. So although there have been positive developments since then, such as new laws protecting reproductive rights, increased women's labor force participation, these gains are insufficient to achieve SDG 5 by 2030. So moreover, progress has been uneven across different regions, with marginalized communities facing the greatest setbacks. As the Gender Snapshot 2024 revealed, there are significant costs of not achieving gender equality and delivering the promises of the 2030 agenda, underscoring urgency of decision action. So this session will highlight, the strong interlinkage of the SDG 5 with the rest of the 2030 agenda. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Ambassador Farouk Masiju, the Assistant Director of Education for the UNICEF Focal Person, Nigeria State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, Nigeria. Ambassador Umar, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ivan. I'm highly honored to be part of this group. My name is Umar Farooq, Ambassador Umar Farooq Suleiman Mashebu from Niger State, Nigeria. I'm going to share my slides. Sorry. Dr. Adaka, help me share my slides, please.
Okay, you're having problems sharing the slide?
You have the sharing right. Go ahead.
You just go ahead, click your green arrow and call up your slides from your dashboard. You got it?
Sorry.
You click the green arrow. Did you click the green arrow?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
It's okay. Let's take time.
Yeah. Are we there?
Can you click on the sharing button below your screen?
The green button with the arrow.
Green button with the arrow, just click on it and then attach your, locate your document where you saved it.
Yeah, it is. Now I have it all. I'm on it.
Okay.
Okay. Excellent.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. So, without much of a delay, I want to move to.
Ambassador, please go ahead, sir. Your screen, your slide is being shared, and we can see.
Yeah. Are we on it? So, talking about the SDG 5, talking about the gender equality, it's a very much important goal that is centered not only to human rights but to sustainable peace and development. Moving with the moving towards the final decade of the SDG, this is not only talking about how far we have come, but rather looking at the concrete, evidence-based action that must be taken, to leave no one behind, especially the women and girls. So, moving to the next slide, we are going to look at the target of this SDG 5. The target is looking at the ending any form of discrimination. We are looking at eliminating gender-based violence.
Ambassador Farouk, can you remove your earpiece because your voice is mumbling? Yes.
Okay. So are we good? So we are going to look at ensuring women full participation in governance. And they look at the persistence gender progress towards equity, right? Many countries have enacted rules that do with
Your mic.
Awareness arising so much information
Ambassador, there are some challenges. We are having challenges. We are not hearing you. We're not hearing you. Try to adjust your mic and increase your volume. Maybe network.
Excellency Farouk. Excellency Umar. Can I kindly please move to the next speaker while you take some time to adjust your system, and then we will revert back to you, sir, please.
Yeah, thank you very much.
For the sake of time, please, because remember we have speakers from different parts of the world on different time zones, so we want to be mindful of that. As well as to everyone, kindly please try your utmost best to stick to your 8-minute slot that you have been allocated. Thank you very much for that. So, Excellency, please stop sharing your screen. You can stop sharing your screen off me, please. Thank you. All right, so moving on to SDG 8. So decent work and economic growth. Decent work and economic growth. With just 5 years left, again, to meet the 2030 agenda, SDG 8, promoting sustainable, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth.
Master Farouk, remove the sharing.
Full and productive employment and decent work for all remains one of the most off-track goals. Although modest gains have been made, including increased access to financial services, progress has stagnated or regressed across critical areas such as youth employment, informality, labor rights, and child labor. The erosion of decent work is of broader global structural challenges, including macroeconomics volatility, inequality, climate shocks, geopolitical fragmentation, and digital transformation. The expert group meeting on SDG 8 highlighted how the SDG 8 agenda is not only central to the economy, but foundational to the 2030 agenda. So coming to speak to us is Dr. Ibre Grace. I hope I'm not pronouncing this.
Yes, Dr. Grace will do, Dr.
That's
Banisa.
okay.
Your Excellency.
Okay,
Dr. Grace
good, please.
will do.
I'm looking at it here.
Thank you.
She's the global champion. She's the global champion for food security, community upliftment advocate, and strategic partnership builder. Her Excellency, Dr. Ibre, you have the floor. Sorry if I butcher your name.
That's okay. Good afternoon, everyone. To your excellencies, the hosts, co-panelists, every other protocol observed. Today, I have the privilege to walk us through in this high-level political forum on SDG 8, walking through the current status, the challenges, the opportunities that are tied to this vital goal. The presentation is not just to measure the progress, but to also reignite our collective resolve to ensure that economic growth leaves no one behind. If you give me the permission, let me share my screen as I walk us through the slide.
You have it.
You have it.
Thank you. Can you see my slide?
No.
We can see your face.
Oh my goodness, okay. Slideshow, share.
The green button.
Yeah.
And then you find your slide on your deck and click on it.
Slideshow. Okay. Can you see it now?
No. But you can read through it. You can just read through it. We'll listen to you.
Okay. My slide 1 goes to just show the topics SDG 8, Sustainable Economic Growth and Decent Work for All. And it goes to ask us the question, what is SDG 8? SDG 8 is one of the UN SDG goals that aim to ensure that everyone has access to decent job, fair pay, and safe working conditions while promoting economic growth that is inclusive and sustainable for people and the planet. It has 12 outcome targets, 10 out of which are the targets and 2 the implementation targets with 17 indicators. We have 12 targets of SDG 8. 1 is sustain per capita economic growth. 2 is achieve higher level of economic productivity. 3 is promote development-oriented policies. 4 is improve resource efficiency and decouple growth for degradation. 5 is achieve full and productive employment and decent work for everyone. 6 is reduce the proportion of youth not in employment, education, or training. 7, eradicate forced labor, end modern slavery, and child labor. 8 is to protect labor rights, promote safe working environments, promote sustainable tourism, strengthen financial institutions. Then the implementation is to increase aid for trade support. The second one is to develop youth employment strategies. We have 17 indicators of SDG. I'll read through them. Annual growth rate of real GDP per capita, that's the number 1. 2.1 is annual growth rate of real GDP per employed person. 3.1, proportion of informal employment in total employment by sector and sex. 4.1 is material footprint, total per capita per GDP. 4.2 is domestic material consumption, total per capita per GDP. 5.1, average hourly earning of employees by sex, age, and occupation. 5.2 is unemployment rate by sex, age, and disability status. 6.1 is proportion of youth aged 15 to 24, not in employment, education, or any training. 7.1, proportion and number of children engaged in child labor by sex and age. 8.1, you have frequency rates of fatal and non-fatal occupational injuries by sex and migrant status. 8.2, national compliance with labor rights, freedom of association and collective bargaining. 9.1, tourism direct GDP as a proportion of total GDP and in growth rate. Number of jobs in sustainable tourism industries by sex. 10.1, number of commercial bank branches and ATMs per 100,000 adults. 10.2, you have proportion of adults with financial account or mobile services. 8.1, you have aid for trade commitment and disbursement. 8B.1, you have national strategy for youth employment and developed operationalism. Move forward. The next is the effect of COVID-19 on SDG. Before the pandemic, economic growth was rising, though it wasn't even, and often excluded vulnerable groups. The way it affects the developed country is different from the way it affected the underdeveloped country. However, the pandemic, the climate shock, and the global conflict have reversed much of the progress made on economic growth, because you now find a disparity between human relationship with the environment, the community, and all the rest of them. Fortunately, there has been a significant improvement on economic growth as a lot of countries have successfully beat the effect of COVID-19 and are currently witnessing an upward trend on economic growth. We can attest to the fact that before pandemic, we don't have a lot of online jobs, but pandemic had helped to create a lot of platform where people can actually work remotely, digitally, and also make some money out of it, make income and impact the economy positively. Moving forward to progress towards SDG 8. Post-pandemic recovery in many economies has happened. Digital platform, just like I mentioned earlier, and remote job creating new opportunities for people. Youth entrepreneurship on the rise, because before now you find out that a lot of youths, we don't really think outside the box to know what do I have to do. You know, we depend on existing systems to function, but these adverse economies have helped our youth to think outside the box. What do I need to do to improve myself, to improve the economy, to improve my family, or even improve the country as a whole? Then improved labor frameworks and MSME support in several regions, stronger labor protection and minimum wage laws. These are the progress towards SDG 8. Then the persistent challenges has been high unemployment and informal labor dominance. You see a lot of graduates roaming about the street, they don't have jobs. And you see people that are even underemployed, they are overqualified for what they are doing. Another challenge is rising child labor and modern slavery cases, gender pay gap and lack of labor protection in gig economy, climate change threatening livelihood, which of course many people don't have control over, but these are the challenges that are facing SDG 8. Then what are the key focus area for High Level Political Forum 2025? Decent work and job quality, youth employment and entrepreneurship, ending child and forced labor, supporting MSME and promoting green jobs. Here I've been opportune to work with some of the SDG and Empowerment Forum in poverty alleviation and also in women empowerment in agricultural program, where women are being empowered to engage in grassroots agriculture, not only to feed their family, but at least to make little income without being over independent or, you know, or even starving. And some youths are being empowered with skills to get themselves engaged without necessarily waiting for jobs to be created. You know, and the key focus also, decent job and job quality. People should know how to, you know, carry out an assignment given to them and produce a good quality job, not just doing things haphazardly. The equity lens of this SDG 8, we should focus on women, youths, migrants, and persons with disabilities, because they all count to the bottom line. We are not leaving anyone behind. Because I'm a woman, because I am not, you know, an older adult, or because I am a migrant, doesn't make me a lesser person. So we should ensure that we include everyone to achieve this goal. We should address rural-urban divide in labor and digital access, and also prioritize inclusive labor protection, trainings, and financial support, just like we are doing in Africa. Like I said, empowering women to engage in grassroots agriculture. We also empower some girls. You see that they don't even know their right from their left when it comes to what do I want to become in the future. You have to, train them, give them the skill to empower them to become what they should be, then giving financial support. In this aspect, we have also empowered market women that are engaging in petty trading with small financing to help them to support and boost their trade. That way, encouraging them to do more. Opportunities for acceleration, invest in skill development and lifelong learning, support MSMEs and cooperative with access to finance, promote green jobs and ensure a just transition, expand digital infrastructure and women's economic empowerment. My recommendation is that we should scale up decent job investment for marginalized groups, for the women, the disabled, the youth, and some of the less privileged in the society. We should commit to ending child and forced labor by 2025. We should support MSME as engine of inclusive growth, integrate SDG 8 into national plan with gender-sensitive indicators. In conclusion, SDG 8 offers us the blueprint for an economy that works for everyone, not just for the privileged few, not just for the developed economy. Let us use this review as a springboard for bold, equity-driven action, because decent work is not a privilege, it's a human right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Her Excellency. Thank you very much. Thank you, Doctor, for bringing us back to the SDG 8 and showing us how and what we're lacking and what we can do in order to better. Moving on to SDG 14, life below water. Life below water. SDG 14 provides the global framework for conserving and sustainably using the ocean, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Yet nearly a decade into the 2030 agenda, SDG 14 counts amongst the most underfunded and off-track goals. The ocean remains in a state of emergency due to enduring threats such as overexploitation, pollution, and climate change. The 2025 expert group meeting on SDG 14 emphasized persistent data gaps, fragmented governance, insufficient implementation of marine protected areas, and rising vulnerability in small island developing states, SIDS. At the same time, it highlighted advances in international ocean law, fisheries management, science policies integration, and the adoption of major global frameworks such as the BBNJ agreement and the coming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. This high-level political forum session will explain opportunities to reverse the current trajectory through inclusive, science-driven, and transformative action. Coming to speak to us is none other than His Excellency Bishop Dr. Akwasi Adu-Amankwa, the Director Deputy of the Northeastern Affairs, WOLMI International Consulting Cabinet. His Excellency Bishop Dr. Akwasi Amankwa, the floor is yours, sir.
Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates and colleagues, and partners in the global development, I greet you all in peace and purpose. I am honored to speak today as an advocate for sustainable development and a representative of WOLMI ICC on this urgent matter of SDG 4, life below water, and of course, advancing sustainable, inclusive science and evidence-based solutions for the 2030 agenda for sustainable development, and of course, leaving no one behind. Over 3 billion people depend on marine and coastal biodiversity for their livelihoods. Yet, our oceans face existential threats from overfishing and acidification to pollution and rising sea temperatures. The health of our ocean is a mirror of our collective stewardship. Without both inclusive science-based interventions, we risk irreversibly harm to the ecosystem, food security, and planetary balance. All to care for creation aligns deeply with both spiritual responsibility and scientific agency. As a bishop, and a medical doctor, and a chaplain, and a UN advocate, I propose that we bridge sacred values with evidence-based action through blue economic innovation hubs in coastal nations. That is collaboration and mutual agreement between developing countries concerning the marine, ocean, and the sea. Indigenous knowledge integration in marine policy. That is trying to have mass education among the local people about the welfare of the ocean, sea, and the marine. Faith-based partnerships advancing behavioral change, ocean literacy, and youth engagement. We must leave no one behind, not a scientist, not a spiritual leader, not coastal communities. Technology as a catalyst must serve humanity and ecology together. Through artificial intelligence-driven monitoring, satellite data, blockchain tracking of seafood supply chains, and marine genomics, we can build smarter, more just ocean policy. However, this must be democratized technology, not extracted. We need South-South cooperation, meaning the South-South cooperation is collaboration in the developing countries, those with the marine, sea, and ocean, so that they don't depend on the developed countries, like the North sector. There should be a collaboration intensively about the knowledge and, of course, the biodiversity of the welfare of our ocean. Open data access and gender-inclusive education. We have dignity in timeless truth. As stewards of God, the Bible says in the scripture, Psalm 24, verse 1, the earth is the Lord's, and everything in it, the wealth, and all who live in it. That's a very powerful. That means you are stewards to maintain the sacredness of the earth, of the ecology, of the creation by the Creator. It's incumbent upon us as leaders, religious leaders, and entities of civil society, to be able to be part of Agenda 2030. We all must work together, unified. Genesis chapter 1, verse 22, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters of the sea. So the waters of the sea is very paramount importance to the Creator. We can't sit back. We must get involved. Proverbs 21, verse 8, quote, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, including the voiceless ecosystem. We are the voice of the voiceless to bridge the gap restorer of life for the world and a better world to come, for the generations to come. We can't sit back. Seriously, we must engage with the United Nations with determination and faith to make the ecology ecosystem of the marine. I continue. SDG 14 aims to conserve and sustainably use the oceans, sea, and marine resources. Science, technology, and innovation are powerful tools in achieving this goal by enabling better monitoring, policy making, and sustainable marine practices. Ocean monitoring and data collection. Satellite technologies track sea level rise, coral bleaching, ocean temperature, and illegal fishing. Remote sensors and drones help monitor marine pollution, plastics, which forms almost 70% of the pollutions or pollutants of the sea. Lodging almost the sea over 5 to 12 million metric tons. And basically, they are plastic bags. So remote sensors and drones help monitor marine pollution, I repeat, plastics, and ship traffic in real time. Artificial intelligence and machine learning analyze back ocean data to predict marine biodiversity loss and optimizes conservation strategies. Sustainable fishing and marine biodiversity. Small fishing gear, for example, LED lights, escape panels, reduces bycatch and protects endangered species. DNA barcoding and environmental DNA. They are very important to identify marine species and access biodiversity without disturbing the habitat. Aquaculture innovations like vertical ocean farming provide sustainable food resources and reduce pressure on wild fish population. Marine population control and blue innovation. Biodegradable alternatives to plastic reduce ocean microplastic pollution. Nanotechnology and biotechnology treat oil spills and wastewater before it enters the ocean. Blue energy innovation support green shipping, ocean-based renewable energy, like tidal and wave energy when it comes to the climate change and eco-tourism. Tourism, as of last year, yielded $134 billion USD. The welfare of the ocean to promote tourism in some countries is the backbone of the economy and the strength of the governance, thereby eradicating poverty. SDG 14 is connected to eradication of poverty, zero hunger, innovation, and climate change. Marine data sharing platforms like the United Nations Ocean, Dept, and Copernicus Marine Service provide open data for scientists and policymakers. Digital twin oceans, virtual 3D replicas of ocean systems stimulate climate change scenario for a better marine policy design. Blockchain improves transparency in seafood supply chains to fight illegal, unreported, overexploited, overregulated fishing. Community and policy tools. Mobile apps help foster communities report marine litter or observe changes in marine life. GIS, Geographical Information Satellite, mapping supports marine spatial planning, identifying zones for conservation, for tourism and fishing. The geographical information system also helps to collect and analyze and visualize on the mapping data that people will see and know the biodiversity and also the pollution rates in the oceans in different locations of the world. STEM education and local innovation helps empower youth and coastal communities to participate in ocean stewardship. Science and technology and innovation are indispensable in protecting marine ecosystem, advancing the blue economy, ensuring the sustainability of life below water. To achieve SDG 14, countries must invest in marine research, support ocean technologies, and strengthen global cooperation. Call to action and conclusion. Let us act as stewards, as scientists, as clever, as strategists. We urge member states and United Nations agencies to fund community-led ocean data projects, promote inclusive marine policies for small island developing states, SIDS, and coastal nations. Recognize the voice of faith and ethics in climate justice and sustainable developmental goal 40, life underwater. A just blue sustainable future is possible. Beloved, if we choose act with courage, compassion, and collaboration, action is now. Action is now. Yes, we can together. Thank you very much, His Excellency.
Thank you very much, His Excellency Bishop Amankwa, for sharing with us here today. Ambassador Umar, are you ready, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm ready.
Okay, Ambassador. So what I want you to do is just have your stuff pulled up. I'm going to bring in the next speaker, and then after the next speaker, I will bring you back in.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much. Coming to speak to us on SDG 17, to revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. So the 2030 agenda is universal and calls for action by all developed and developing countries to ensure no one is left behind. It requires partnerships between governments, the private sector, and the civil society. The Sustainable Development Goals can only be realized with a strong commitment to global partnership and cooperation to ensure no one is left behind in our journey to development. However, not all countries are setting off from the same starting line. And low and middle income countries are facing a tidal wave of debt in which they are treading waters. Developing countries are grappling with an unprecedented rise in external debt levels following the COVID-19 pandemic, compounded by challenges such as record inflation, escalating interest rates, competing priorities, and constrained fiscal capacity, underscoring the urgent need for debt relief and financial assistance. To be successful, everyone will need to mobilize both existing and additional resources, and developed countries will need to fulfill their official development assistance commitment. So we have two speakers who will be speaking to us in this section under the SDG 17. We have Dr. Rotimi Matthew, the Director General, Chartered Institute of Mentoring and Coaching, Nigeria. And then we have Her Excellency Dr. Onika Campbell, the UNOG Canadian International Chaplaincy Association Chief Ambassador to the United Nations Office in Geneva. First, we are going to hear from Dr. Rotimi Matthew, the Director General for the Chartered Institute of Mentoring and Coaching, Nigeria. Dr. Matthew, you have the floor.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to review SDG 17, Revitalizing the Global Partnership for Sustainability. Thank you so much. So kindly allow me to share my slides to start with. Okay, right. Thank you. Excellencies. Review of SDG 17, revitalizing the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development. The introduction to address advancing sustainable inclusion, science-based solution, and leaving no one behind in the light of global realities. But the global realities, the challenges that we are in. So we need to look at this under these three offices. SDG 17, revitalizing the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development, lies at the heart of the 2030 agenda. It serves as the engine room for all sustainable development goals, emphasizing that without international cooperation, inclusive institution, and coordination, financing, global progress will falter, will be hindered, will be challenged. The post-COVID era has amplified all of this truth to us, revealing that not only the interdependency of nations, but also the structural inequalities in access to resources that is available to all, technologies and opportunities. While the 2030 agenda is universal in ambition, it is not being pursued on a level playing field or a level playing ground. There's a wave of external debt, rising inflation, constrained physical capacity, and geopolitical instability has left many low and middle-income countries, LMICs, treading waters. For SDG 17 to succeed, we must reimagine partnership, not as a charity, but as a shared responsibility and mutual benefit. So let's look at it under these three: advancing sustainable inclusion through partnership. Sustainable inclusion is not simply a development ambition, it is a cornerstone of resilient society. Achieving SDG 17 must be reframed to center around innovative economies, governance and people-centered system, social cohesion and resilience, environmental sustainability. Looking at innovative economies, global partnership should support technology transfer, inclusive innovation ecosystem, and capacity building that empower developing nations to leapfrog into digital and green economies. So governance and people-centered system partnership must be upheld and must uphold good governance, equity, and transparency. True partnership is measured not only by dollar committed, but also by inclusive decision-making and democratic accountability, social cohesion and resilience. In equality factors development, global cooperation must include mechanisms for strengthening local institutions, social protection systems, and civic trust, particularly in fragile and conflict-affected regions. Looking at number 4, the environmental sustainability, climate financing, biodiversity preservation must be integral to all of development cooperation, especially in regions already bearing the brunt of environmental degradation. Science and evidence-based solutions for 2030 agenda. In an era defined by disinformation and uncertainty, evidence-based policy is vital. It's actually going to be very helpful. Partnership should strengthen local research institutions in member states and promote open access to scientific knowledge, because data are important. Data don't lie. Data give birth to development. So now we're looking at data for development. Many LMIC lack the statistical infrastructure to track progress in their country. Investment in real-time data, mapping and citizen-generated information are crucial to measuring what matters and correcting what does not work. So my time, I have to go fast on these and move on. Technological cooperation, from climate smart agriculture, green economy, to AI for education and telemedicine, global science partnership, and unlocking context sensitivity to innovation. This is very vital policy that must be upheld, that we must bring to bear to support science and evidence-based solution in 2030 agenda. The North-South and South-South knowledge exchange. Scientific collaboration must move beyond extractive model. Cooperation and co-creating indigenous knowledge becomes very important to integrate an equitable IP framework that should define the new science policy. Looking at science and policy interface too. Science evidence-based policy for science policy interface. The SDG 17 global mechanism that connects, this is a global that connects scientific knowledge and with decision-making process, ensuring policies are grounded in the best and available evidence. And the evidence synthesis capacity, building local capability to gather, analyze, and translate evidence into action. We have to move to translate those evidence that prove the information we've gathered to make sure that they are sustainable and they're used for sustainable development, which remain responsive to contextual reality. Because we know what we are into, and we need all of this to sustain the data that has been gathered, because scientific data is the best evidence solution that we can use to make sure we achieve this goal. Now, let's move to the next point, how to mobilize partnership to leave no one behind. This is actually one of the goals. Partnership is critical because upon all of other 16 SDG, all of them takes their roots here. This is the base, this is the foundation. This is how those SDG 1 to 16 can be derived. So mobilizing partnership to leave no one behind. Now, leaving no one behind is the ethical and strategic imperative of the 2030 agenda. Yet marginalized groups are there, the rural population, indigenous people, youths, persons with disability. I call persons with disability. Sometimes I prefer to refer to them as differently able people instead of calling them persons with disability. Most of the fora I say differently able people. Migrants are consistently excluded from planning, budgeting, and program delivery. So to reverse this trend, it is very important that the ODA commitments must be fulfilled. The commitments must be fulfilled to developed countries. By developed country must urgently meet the 0.7% GNI target for official development assistance, particularly for the LDC, conflict zone, and climate vulnerable nations around the globe. Debt relief and fiscal policy will also be helpful to reverse this trend. The debt relief and fiscal space, a reformed global financial architecture should offer predictable, fair, and timely debt relief tied to SDG progress. Instruments like debt for climate swap and SDG bond should be expanded. This will help not to leave others behind. Now, let's look at the private sector and the civil society engagement. And this is one of the things we're also doing here today. So the partnership with NGOs, youth network, women-led cooperatives, group and society, and local enterprises must be elevated, must be funded. These actors are closer, and they are the closest to the communities being left behind. So we need to partner with them, we need to work with them. There must be a deliberate action towards not leaving anyone behind. It must be an intentional action. It must be intentional, we have to be deliberate about it. So looking at the fourth one, let's look at digital inclusion, ensuring universal access to affordable broadband. In most communities, we find it so difficult to come online. We're being challenged because of lack of infrastructure for digital literacy. So digital literacy is essential to equitable participation in the modern economy. So reversing this trend, these are very key points I'm bringing to bear this morning. ODA commitments must be fulfilled. Debt relief and physical space. This is also critical. Then we must be deliberate, have a roadmap on how to make sure the framework that can relieve member states of this debt. Then private sector and civil society engagement, because these are the closest people to the communities we want to reach. So digital inclusion is also very important. Now, so go ahead this morning because I have limited time and I walk out through my time. So in conclusion, a new era of purposeful partnership, because we also have someone coming to speak on SDG 17. So I'm leaving some of those on the target area of SDG 17. Whoever is coming to review again. So a new era of purposeful partnership. It's not just about technical cooperation. It is about redefining solidarity in a divided world to advance sustainable inclusion, implement science-based solution, and truly leave no one behind. Partnership must evolve into platform for co-ownership, co-creation, and co-responsibility. Only through genuine collaboration can we build the inclusive, just, and resilient world envisioned by SDGs, that no one will be left behind. Call to action. Let's shift from fragmented projects to integrated strategies. Move from donor recipient to equal stakeholder in these frameworks. Build a global compact where partnership reflects justice, not just generosity. Together, we must transform SDG 17 from technical goal into a moral and political mandate for collective survival and shared prosperity. A call to the high-level political forum. The high-level political forum must renew its commitment to a partnership model and listen to the marginalized, invest in the underfunded, and hold power accountable to do that which we're asked to do and what we're promised to do to deliver. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity within this limited space. Thank you, Ambassador Bannister. Thank you so much, and all co-speakers.
Thank you very much, Dr. Matthew. Thank you, sir. Well put together, well said, well done. Now we're going to hear from Her Excellency Dr. Onika Campbell. Excellency, you have the floor. Please unmute your mic and go ahead.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Dr. Bannister, distinguished delegates and ambassadors, esteemed colleagues and partners in global progress. I rise today with deep humility and unwavering conviction to contribute to this critical moment of global reflection and recommitment. As we convene here under the banner of the 2025 United Nations High-Level Political Forum, our mandate is clear: to access our collective progress, confront the realities that challenge us, and craft bold, inclusive, evidence-based pathways towards the upliftment of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This year's theme, Advancing Sustainable, Inclusive Science and Evidence-Based Solution for 2030 Agenda, challenges us not only to measure success, but examine the integrity of our partnership, the inclusivity of our methods, and moral courage with which we lead. At the center of our review stands Sustainable Development Goal 17, strengthen means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. The goal is not peripheral, it is pivotal. It binds together the entire SDG framework and serves as an engine that drives progress across every sector and every nation. Yet, we must confront the uncomfortable truth. Not all nations are beginning from the same starting line. The COVID-19 pandemic, raising geopolitical tensions, unsustainable debt levels, and deepening inequalities have widened the distance between intent and impact. While the vision of leaving no one behind remains our shared aspiration, the path of achieving it is fraught with disparity. In this address, I will offer an integrated review of 6 interlinked SDG. 1, poverty. 3, good health and well-being. 5, gender equality. 8, decent work and economic growth. 14, life below water, and our anchor, SDG 17. Framing not as isolated targets, but as a web of interdependence that requires global cooperation, policy coherence, and transformative action. We must view this review not as retrospective, but as renewal, a moment to elevate political will, restore trust in multilateralism, and reimagine global solidarity for a world that is just, resilient, and a whole. Let's proceed with honesty, urgency, and hope. What now? We stand today at a pivotal moment, 10 years since the launch of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and just 5 years away from its completion. The Sustainable Development Goal are a universal call to action. They are designed to end poverty, ensure healthy lives, achieve gender equality, promote decent work and economic growth, protect our oceans, and above all, revitalize partnerships that make progress possible. Yet, we gather here at the high-level political forum. It is clear we are not on track. Let us begin with the central focus, SDG 17, which calls on all nations and stakeholders to strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize global partnership for sustainable development. This goal is about more than coordination. It is the engine of the entire SDG global framework, but today that engine is stalling. The Sustainable Development financing gap has now widened to over 4.2 trillion US dollars per year. Developing countries, particularly small island states, the least developed countries, LDC, are drowning in external debts. Official development assistance, the commitment to wealthier nations to allocate at least 0.7% of gross national income to support developing nations remain unmet by most donor countries. Let us be clear, we cannot fulfill SDGs with fragmented efforts or forgotten promises. COVID-19 pandemic, geopolitical conflicts, and climate change have exposed the deep inequalities between nations. While the 2030 agenda is universal, not all countries are starting at the same point. Let us now turn our broader integrated review to the SDGs, acknowledging that no single goal can be achieved in isolation. No poverty. Despite prior progress, over 689 million people still live in extreme poverty, climate shocks, rising death, pandemic recovery setbacks have reverse gains. Our recommendation is to mobilize SDG 17 resources to scale up social protection programs and community-led entrepreneurship, enable South-South cooperation, allowing developing nations to share best practices and innovation with one another. In respect to good health and well-being, 2 billion people lack essential services. Mental health conditions have surged while pandemic-related disruptions continue to strain global system. We recommend utilize SDG 17 to improve healthcare finances and underserved countries. At the progress in the field, a model of integrated action have emerged. At SICA International Chaplaincy Association, we have remained deeply committed to implementing practical grassroots aligned models to embody the spirit of the SDG. Through SICA International University Technical Center of Excellence in partnership with City and Guilds of London, we are making efforts stride towards SDG for quality, affordable education. Together, we have expanded access to certified vocational technical training programs, academic credential degrees in 105 countries, ensuring that young people, women, marginalized communities across the Caribbean and Africa are equipped at the 21st century skills needs to thrive in today's digital and green economies at 95% paid. Under this banner, quality, affordable education, global recognized education are not only reducing the cost barriers to higher learning, but we are cultivating a generation of skilled innovators, entrepreneurs, and ethical leaders who can now compete on the global stage. In parallel, our Harmony for Humanity initiative, anchored in Express Rhythm Collective's Yother Music LLC and our international chaplaincy networks, have advanced bold models of faith-based and cultural diplomacy. From Ghana to Geneva, from Vienna to the Caribbean, we have been using these tools as instruments for peace building, youth engagement, and recognition to bridge even these digital divides. We have particularly proud of our 2025 proposed mission based on development work communities for 4 named Ghanaian communities, where we have implemented project aligned with SDG 6, clean water, 8, decent work, 5, gender equalities, and 17, partnership for goals. Some of the lessons that have been learned is that the silos must fall. True progress is integrated. Debt justice is development justice. Science must be ethical and inclusive. Faith-based and community networks are essential partners, not peripheral actors, and solidarity is not a slogan, it is a strategy. Some of the immediate priorities for the final 5 years: operationalize multinational debt relief mechanism under SDG 17, expand inclusive digital infrastructure and innovation exchanges, empower youth actors and grassroots organizations through UN coordinated partnership, create a global SDG partnership index to track equality, access, and transparency, embed ethical values, justice, empathy, equity into all global policy design. Excellencies, let us not lose sight of what SDG 17 truly demands: a revitalized commitment to shared humanity, not just partnerships on paper, but solidarity in action. Let us mobilize existing additional resources, fulfill our ODA commitment, and craft model of cooperation and leave no one behind. Let us lift our treading water in debt. Let us strengthen the fragile hands of health workers, educators, farmers, and underserved communities. Let us use science not as a tool of privilege, but as an instrument of justice. And so, in the spirit of hope, I close with the words of the prophet Joel. And I will restore the years that the locusts had eaten. Let us truly be the decade of restoration. I thank you. Let us rise together.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for such a wonderful presentation and for joining your colleague in helping us to understand and giving us the importance and the data of partnership across borders. Thank you. Thank you to yourself as well as to Dr. Matthew. Thank you. Now we're going to go back to SDG 5. We don't want to rob any speaker. So if Ambassador Umar, are you ready, sir?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, wonderful. Please share your screen quickly.
Yeah, I want to share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Brother,
go ahead. You have the floor.
You have sharing rights, sir. Please go ahead. If not, just go ahead and give your speech, please.
Okay. Are we there?
You can either go ahead and If you're having trouble sharing your screen, just please go ahead and make your presentation. Okay, your screen is coming up now.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Thank you once again for the second chance. I think I must have to rush this one. Sustainable Goal 5, is a gender equality empowerment for girls, for all women and girls. It is essential not only to human rights, but also sustainable peace and development. We're looking at the going to the key targets. Sorry. I think I would rather read from the slides. Now, a goal that is central not only to human rights, but only sustainable peace and development. That's what SDG Goal 5. And going to the targets under the SDG 5 has to do with the ending of all forms of discrimination against women and girls, eliminating gender-based violence in public and private spheres, ending harmful practices such as child marriages and female mental mutilation, and then involving ensuring that women participate fully in governance and leadership. Now, looking at the progress towards the SDG 5, we are looking at the legal reforms. Where countries have adopted law and advanced gender equality, e.g., anti-domestic violence law and anti-rights and gender-based violence laws. Women participation in leadership, where more women are seen actively participating in governance and leadership. Looking at the girls' education, we have programs and projects brought ensuring that girls, it promotes girls' education, enrollment rates, and retention rates, and even completion rates. And some of our girls in education having fully access to education. Now, the persistent inequality gap. Despite decades of advocacy, policy reforms, and grassroots movements, gender inequality remains one of the world's most entrenched injustices. Globally, nearly 1 in every 3 women has experienced physical or sexual violence. In many parts of sub-Saharan Africa, millions of girls are still denied access to quality education, early marriages, and women's voices remain underrepresented in the leadership and governance. That is most of the African sub-Saharan nation. Now, looking at the persistent gender challenges, we have the gender-based violence, we have the early child marriage, we have the unpaid care work, and the economic disparities, digital, divide. We are some of the statistics I'm going to share, I'm going to talk about now will trace that issue. Over 30% of women have experienced physical or sexual violence. That is as at recent data, 2025. Over 650 million women alive today were married at the early age before 18. Women holds only 28.2% of managerial position according to ILO 2024, and women perform 76.2% of unpaid care work. That's according to Women, UN Women 2024. Access to reproductive health services remains limited in many developing countries, most especially in Africa, especially in Nigeria, my country. Women are 17 less likely than men to own a mobile phone, and 25% less likely to use a mobile internet, looking at the International Telecommunication Union report. Progress and what works. However, we are not without hope. In Nigeria, programs like the Adolescent Initiative for Girls Learning Empowerment, that's the Agile project, which focuses on empowering adolescent girls through learning and life skills, is showing promising results. Gender responsive budgeting, community sensitization, legal reforms, and mentorship initiatives are turning the tide where they are locally driven and culturally sensitive. In Nigeria, we have an initiative called the Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning Empowerment. We have so many adolescent girls are empowered to to the digital literacy, life skills learning, and whatever. That has greatly helped in empowering girls and achieving access to education. What must be done? To truly accelerate progress on SDG 5, we need to, one, scale up successful models of girls' education, protection, and leadership, invest in systems that protect women from violence and hold perpetrators accountable. In Nigeria, my state, Niger, said we had a law where an MOU was signed between the service providers and the desk officers for gender-based violence across the state, where laws handling the perpetrators, cutting the complete, putting them into law, has established. Ensure women participation at all levels, from local peace communities to national parliamentaries. We need to involve women in all sorts of leadership. There's an initiative that is called HILWA, High Level Women Advocates, where a lot of retired women become role models to the younger ones. So that helps greatly in promoting girls' child education, which helps women a lot in terms of empowerment. Now, the regional and national perspective, looking at Africa and Nigeria, my country, the region, the Africa region has experienced a more number of mortality and immortality rates. However, in Nigeria, looking at the statistics, we have 3% of girls that are married before the age of 18. That's early child marriage. And women engagement in 72.2% at the National Assembly, having less women participation in the decision-making offices, where we have less than 1% or less than 2% in my own state. We are out of the 30 legislators, so have only one woman in their midst. So you could see the gender disparities there is really showing. Then evidence-based solution and good practices. We need to look at the legal reforms, social reform changes. We look at education and economic empowerment, political participation, and data system. All these are evidence-based solutions in terms of good practices, in terms of women involvement, in terms of having them reducing the gender gap between the gender and the other races. Then we are looking at the role of partnerships in accelerating SDG 5. This requires multi-stakeholders collaboration within the government agencies and the donor partners. We look at the community-led solution and inclusion of women and youth voices. The voices of women and youth need to be heard. And looking at the digital inclusion strategies and involvement. Now, looking at the data gaps and the monitoring needs. Better tracking of progress on violence against women, especially in the conflict zone areas, is key. Improved measurement of unpaid care work and its impact on women's economic participation. Disaggregation of data by age, disability, and the location matters a lot, because the disaggregation differs from the rural to the urban centers. We need to have those data disaggregated. Then measuring changes in gender norms and attitudes over time. We need to ensure that we track changes in attitudes right from the beginning, and then looking towards the.
Sorry, Farouk, can you remove the sharing? Sorry, can you remove the sharing? Good.
Okay. Now, recommendation for the high-level profile forum review. We need to look at other scaling up of efforts to prevent and respond to gender-based violence, mainstreaming of gender equality across all SDGs, not just the SDG 5, and investment in girls' education and leadership pathways, especially in crisis-affected zones, and looking at to recognize and redistribute unpaid care work through policy and infrastructure, ensuring that women's full participation in climate action, peace building, and digital transformation, mobilizing political will and resources, including including through feminist foreign policies, to ensure that multilateral cooperation is really out. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Yeah, we cannot achieve 2030 agenda. This is a call for action. Now, we cannot achieve 2030 agenda without achieving SDG 5. In conclusion, gender equality is not a favor. It is a fundamental human right and a driver of peace, prosperity, and sustainability. We are truly committed to leaving no one behind. Then if we are really committed to leaving no one behind, then we must put women and girls at the center of recovery, governance, and innovation. Let us back our words with action. Let us move from pledges to implementation. Together we can deliver a world where a potential of every girl and woman is protected, valued, and realized. Call for action now. We cannot achieve the 2030 agenda without achieving SDGP 5. Next. This is a quote that said, when you empower a woman, you empower humanity. So when you educate a girl child, a woman, you're educating not just an individual, but you're educating a whole nation. Thank you for the attention. And thank you very much for bearing with me due to my technical hitches. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Umar. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Well said and well put together. At this time, for the sake of time, I'm going to move straight into the call to action statement, which is coming to us from His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Dennis Antoine. He will give us the call to action statement. Dr. Ada, are you ready with his recording?
Are you hearing it? Are you hearing?
No, Doc.
No, we can't hear, please. Excellency.
Yes.
Please restart.
I wonder what's wrong with my chair now. Okay.
The Honorable Philip Finn, Dr. Nebet Kapoor, Professor Ado Kika, and all other distinguished ambassadors and SDG advocates assembled for this forum. I am pleased to applaud and salute the conveners of this high-level political forum that has assembled such a preeminent council of leaders. You know, I have often advocated that we should all be ambassadors for a better world. This is a timely gathering of representatives who are engaged daily in their respective communities, acting where positive achievements are most needed to benefit citizens. I am moved to remind everyone that this 2025 high-level political forum focused on the promises of the SDGs for the achievement of sustained inclusive science with indications of solutions for the 2030 agenda. Now, therefore, this forum cannot be viewed as political chattering about leaving no one behind. Advancing sustainable inclusive discipline and solutions for the 2030 agenda suggests that we have the solutions for sustainable development based on the SDG action steps to leave no one behind. Therefore, today, I am calling on each participant in this public discussion to pledge that our words will be put into action with less than 5 years until 2030, this is not the time to just review the summary of progress made in some of the life-threatening areas related to critical SDG goals, goals such as 3, 5, 8, 14, and 17, on which our deliberation in this forward-looking roundtable is absorbed. Therefore, there have been and there will be continued distractions from the task at hand. However, what's needed most of all is the strengthening of trusted local and global partnerships to sustain development gains made in the means for implementation that benefits all. This conference must serve as a loud scream for action to revitalize our plans for progressive sprint into 2030. I am pleased to wish this high-level political forum all success. Thank you.
Let me say on behalf of the President for WOLMI, His Excellency the Right Honorable Dr. Philip Finn, thank you very much to Excellency Dennis Antoine for giving us those remarks in regards to the call to action. And yes, indeed, he is correct. This is not something political. This is not for us to take the time to look at it from a political lens or anything, but for us to be able to say what and how we can be that voice for the voiceless. So at this time, without any further ado, I would like to ask Her Excellency Professor Ada Juni Ohika, the Chief Governor for the Department of Northeastern Affairs for the WOLMI ICC Consulting Cabinet, if she can come forward and give her remarks in regards to the Department of the Northeastern Affairs here today. Her Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Ambassador Dr. Devon Bannister, my own abracadabra conco. Thank you for being able to pilot this conference at this time. It's been so wonderful, informative, and education-filled listening to each and every one of you who have made these presentations today. In fact, I'm touched by your deep-rooted reviews on these 2025 SDGs under review. And I was even touched when Ambassador Farouk said he was going to review on SDG 5. I said, what is this man going to talk about SDG 5? But I am touched by the depth of his review and presentation on SDG 5. So it's not just SDG 5, not just about women, it's also about the men inclusion that means a lot to the gender generations. So I must admonish that the Department of Northeastern Affairs of WOLMI ICC has actually made significant review on the high-level political forum SDGs since the inception of the department. And we have been able to review almost all the SDGs that have been under review by the United Nations. And then this year again, we have also come up with these SDG reviews on SDG 3, SDG 5, SDG 8, SDG 14, and SDG 17. But the question is, where do we go from here? It's not about reviews. It's not about talking. It's not about what do we go from here? What lesson are we deriving from these reviews? And what is the action-oriented tenets that can drive the vision and mission to the next level, especially now where we are counting days or years, less than 5 years to go to 2030 agenda. One of the major things being a faith-based organization is that we have been thinking of localizing SDGs for faith-based organizations, localizing SDGs for peace ambassadors to translate into specific actions that will address local challenges, prioritize and leverage unique strengths with the faith-based in communities. You know, the issue about faith-based organization has to be diverse, has to be expanded into what is no longer about evangelism, using the word, the Bible, the Muslim book, the religious documents in order to evangelize and campaign for membership. But this time we need to consider the importance of expand, because the United Nations says leave no one behind. And if we don't localize SDGs for the faith-based community, then absolutely, really, we are leaving them behind. And that makes no sense to the successes and achievement of the 2030 agenda. We're also thinking that from this year's 2025 SDG reviews, there is need to reframe our vision and missions. Whether you are a faith-based civil society, stakeholder, or whatever we are, or institutions, there is need for us to reframe our missions and visions to include the 17 SDGs and 169 targets. My computer has been dancing around. So, and also there's need for us to have strategic and operational planning. You know, this is what we need to do because the time is ticking. And if we don't position some of these things right now, then we are leaving a lot of things behind. Because one thing I know is that from United Nations to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to the country who are members of the UN, and then they revolve around the government sector. So, but the issue about sustainable development goals, the 2030 agenda, the leave no one behind, the 5 P's of SDGs, the people, the planet, the prosperity, the peace and partnership, has been an open activities that everyone should cue in. And if we are going to have everyone inclusive, then there is need for every sector, including the faith-based organization, to awaken their thinking abilities and faculties and capabilities to address the issue within the faith-based community. We also need to form SDG committees to champion SDG integration with the faith-based organizations. Think about a ministry, a Muslim community, a Hindu community, a Buddha community, or whatever faith-based organization, forming SDG 5 on their women department and use it to look at the issues, forming SDG 1, SDG 2, SDG 4, partnership with other faith-based organizations. How is it like Christian-based organization, Muslim-based organization, Hindu-based, Buddha, or whatever religion you can talk, Anglican, Catholics, come together on SDG team approach on SDG 5 to think about the concerns, the way forward, the SDG 5, to educate and address the SDG 5 for women in various faith-based organizations. Think about the expansion. Think about the global horizon or the community horizon that the SDG 5 will expand to. This is very, very important. And by doing that, we're engaging communities, we're localizing everything about SDG 5 up to the grassroots. It's no longer at the top level of government, from Minister for Women Affairs to Commissioner for Women Affairs, and there it ends. But we are now taking it down forward to the communities. We need to facilitate, raise awareness through this platform, through this medium, and also facilitate engagement, work to promote change behavior. By doing this, we are promoting change behavior. There will be mutual understanding. Peace will begin to build in our hearts, and partnership will begin to exist. So it's no longer, we are now looking at people-oriented, just as the summary of SDGs, the 5 P's of SDGs, people-oriented. We are now considering people-oriented in types of SDG 5 for women and girls. So it's all about localizing the SDGs. And then we're also building capacities to advocate for change by providing training, by developing leadership and advocating for change. Without this, we are actually leaving a lot behind, and 2030 is fast approaching. By doing this, the Department of WOLMI ICC have come up with the agenda to localize the SDGs to translate the global aspiration into tangible improvements. And one of these is that we are taking a bold step to form a think tank team, the 3 T's, TTT, think tank team. We are forming this bold think tank team, and I want to believe that all the speakers here are already members of this think tank team. And we want to come up with this model in order to align with religious values, integrate SDGs into spiritual teaching, education programs, community outreach, making the goals more meaningful, and advancing the SDG, just as the team says, advancing the science-based solutions for sustainable development. We are now advancing it adequately in order to get to everyone who wants to get it known. Because some of us I spoke with a group of women in my locality. I said, we've never heard about what people talk about SDGs, which means a lot of people are still left behind. And if we're able to raise this model of think tank team on localizing SDG, they will be able to send the message across adequately and awaken a lot of information, because there are a lot of things that people need to know in order to come out from poverty situation, in order to come out from hunger situation, because they say knowledge is power. And if you think education is expensive, try poverty. So we need to get this engaged community, especially to include this in our evangelism programs within the faith-based organization. Let us expand evangelism. Let us expand our pulpit words, as faith-based organization, pulpit words that can be able to carry people along and leave no one behind. Let us identify gaps in service provisions and work with local stakeholders. Let us leverage access and resources. Partner with community leaders to achieve science-based solution for SDG in faith-based organization. This is one of our good agenda to move with to advance the science-based solution for sustainable development as decreed by United Nations in this 2025 high-level political forum. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chief Governor, to the Department of Northeastern Affairs, Professor Adejuni Okika. So, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of today's high-level political forum side event hosted by the
Want to take group picture.
The Northeastern Affairs Department.
Yes.
So let me say thank you very much to each and every one of you wonderful presenters for taking the time out of your busy schedule. To you, Excellency Dr. Kapoor, thank you very much as well for gracing us with your presence and for such a meaningful contribution and being our keynote speaker, as well as to you, Dr. Osita, for that wonderful overview and bringing us together. To our guests, to everyone that's joining us, listening to us via YouTube or Facebook, or attendees right here joining us and listening to us, thank you very much for also taking time to be here. I know that, as Dr. Ada just said, if you think education is expensive, try poverty. She shifted mine, which says, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. But I want to leave us with one thing before we take our group photo and we leave. Remember one thing at the end of the road: we are not politicians. If you're aspiring to become a politician, then I would say you're in the wrong forum, because here what we look at is how can we be the voice for the people, and how can we not just talk it, but we walk it. We know in the Bible it says faith without works is death. That means you have to put in the work. So here we're putting in the work, and I want to encourage each and every one of us to remember that as the key. Put in the work, because everyone knows that if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Only ignorance would allow us not to do anything. But with education, as little as it may be, it will spark something in us to be able to do something and make something of change. Remember, at the end of the road, you have people with resources and you have others with ideas. This is where, as Dr. Osita has stated from the inception, bringing all the SDGs together to make that one, which is SDG 17. That is the reason why I love SDG 17, because it's bringing everything back together to create that perfect union so we can be able to accomplish everything. So to every one of you, thank you, contributors, thank you, excellencies. I know you've done an excellent job, and there's many questions there that will be in the Q&A section. So I would recommend that you go to the Q&A section and you just put in your response, put in your remarks. To everyone, again, thank you very much. To all of you out there, thank you very much for taking your time out of your busy schedule to be here with us this morning, this midday, afternoon, evening, whatever the time of the day is, wherever you are. Thank you. And to you, Professor Dr. Ada, thank you very much once again. On behalf of the President General of Word of Life Ministries International, I am your Pro-Chancellor of Psych International University and Seminary. Thank you very much to each and every one of you, and do have a wonderful rest of your day. Wonderful. Dr. Ada, you can go ahead and end.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Dr. Bannister and Dr. Oster, can you take us group photos with your good phone camera?
Yeah, done already.
Make sure I look very nice there.
Dr. Mrs. Blessing, please remove your note taker.
Yes, please.
Remove your note taker so that we can take photographs of faces.
Because you are seeing your good.
Okay, good. Very good. Okay. And then
everyone just look at, I have a perfect shot. Can everyone look straight to the camera? Put your smile in your face. Come on, put some smiles there. Anytime now. There we go. Wonderful. I have it, Dr. Ad. I'll send it to you and you can share it with everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Ambassador Farouk, I'll come again. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's been so wonderful. And please, let's come together on this think tank team to advance SDGs into our local community, especially in faith-based organizations. Thank you. And thank you to my boss, His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Nabhit Kapoor, the permanent observer mission of Pan-African Intergovernmental Agency for Water and Sanitation in Africa to the United Nations. Thank you for your time. I know today is your resting day, but with me, there's no resting day. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Grace. Wow, all the way. A wonderful intervention. Thank you, Dr. Blair, all the way from, I think, Switzerland, right?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Blessing. My abracadabra wanted to murder your last name, but I'm going to teach him how to call you back the name again.
It has been a long time since I've pronounced some of these names, okay? So please forgive me.
Don't mind him. He's an honorable man, so he has to learn it. And then Dr. Rotimi, well done. Thank you so much for that inclusive all the way from Nigeria in a partnership. And my own ambassador all the way from Antigua. Why? Dr. Nika Campbell, the media director, the information, I call her information minister. If you want to appear on the WOLMI television, please get in touch with her. She's our information minister. And then His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Amankwa, oh my God, wonderful, the Deputy Director for Deputy Chief Governor for Department of Northeastern Affairs. It's wonderful having you to digress on that SDG 40. You know, a few years back when the UN did a very big 1-week event on life below water, I was wondering how can life be below water, and then it was, and then by the time it finishes, it means that all the animals in the water are all life, and one should handle them. In fact, very soon, before you catch a fish from a river, you must obtain license. You know, you must obtain license. You must go certification, and so on and so forth. So it's wonderful. Your papers, your presentation are educative and informative, and I appreciate you all. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.